From the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's time for Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The following segment is a weekly video blog, and the opinions of the forecaster do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff of Eastern PA Weather Authority LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrus with Weather Weeklies.
And good Sunday morning to you. It's May 3rd, and what a difference a month makes. It has been quite warm here over the last couple days, and it's going to continue to get warm for the foreseeable future. We'll get into that in a second here, but if you were looking at when we kept getting questions about this anyway, when are we going to get into some sustained warmth instead of this up and down stuff? And I think we finally turned the corner. Let's get into the long-range projection. This is our latest long-range projections that were put out earlier this week. And of course, this starts off in a time period where we were below average, but that has already passed and is behind us now. May 2nd through May 10th, we have this very high confidence of above average temperatures. Again, we'll get into that a little bit more detail in a second. We do have a near to slightly above average period here, and this is from the 11th to 18th. The reason we have near to slightly above in this time frame is because when we start off right around here, the 10th, 11th, 12th time, or actually 11th and 12th time frame, we might actually be below for a couple days, but not ridiculously below, just by a little bit. And then we start to moderate to and go above normal toward the 18th. So the average of the period will put it in of that entire week there, the 11th to 18th, will put it near to maybe slightly above average as a result of that. But for, that's for the entire period average together. And then from the 18th to 25th, we go back to above average again. So we're looking at this month again. This is what we looked at in our last video. We showed the EPAWA coverage area as a whole expected to be well above normal in May in terms of temperatures, and it's going to follow a 1959 analog, we think. The more and more we looked at this, when we did the spring outlook back in March, every time we got closer, we try to look at our analog and says, does it still match? Does it still match? Does it still match? And every time we looked at it, it still matched. So, we kept saying, as soon as the calendar switched to May, boom, we're going right into extended warmth and above normal temperatures, and lo and behold, that's what we're getting right now. What we're getting for the Madden-Julian oscillation, not much. Not much at all. The warm phases are phase 5 and 6 right now. That's these phases over here. The only problem is the Madden-Julian oscillation for the past month or so has been in the circle of death here. When the circle of death is the is this spot in the middle here, where it just means the Madden-Julian oscillation has no effect on our sensible weather whatsoever. So these are measure the convection in and around the equator in relation to the international date line. That's what this measures, and these different phases mean something. For this time of year, your colder phases are phases 1 through 3 and 7 and 8. You see this goes around in a circle here, starting off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Your warmer phases are over here, and then these are your colder phases. Well, it started off with the colder phases, and we were in that up and down and colder regime there for a while. This is going back all the way in, going back into March, beginning of spring, and it goes, and now it's been the circle of death ever since. So now that just means that the ridges and troughiness has disappeared, and now we just have a flat jet. And that jet is well to our north. Let's get into the short range, and I'll show you that. Here's a look at the short range. Now, these are anomalies. These are departures from normal, above or below normal from what is considered to be normal from this time of year for this date. And you can see right now anything that is colored in this red, and these are above normal. So we're obviously in well above normal temperatures in this area here, especially up here in New England, Maine. I mean, they're way above normal. Above normal up here. This area down here is actually below. Texas is below, and along the Gulf Coast is below. This is just for this Monday and the projected high temperature. So very warm here in this section of the country. Again, this is very very typical of what we're looking at in the 1959 analog. Look, even it shows you big in the same areas that are going to be warm this week, and then maybe not quite as warm down here as you get into near normal down here. So, it's pretty much the same thing we're looking at here. And this is going to be the regime going forward for the entire month of May. This is going to be the theme, we think, of the entire month of May, with just a few blips in the radar as we go through. So we're definitely looking at the above normal temperatures. And getting into the medium range, you go into next weekend. This is look at Mother's Day, and I picked Mother's Day specifically since it's the holiday here. Again, Very warm temperatures right across this section. Near normal here, and now below normal up here in Canada, but good for them. That's where it should be, below normal. Here, we're well above normal yet. Now, you have to remember, too, we're talking about above normal and below normal. We're talking about that date specifically. So these anomalies are done based on what the normal high is for this time of year at that time, not what it is this Sunday. So, this Sunday the normal high might be 70, next Sunday it might be 73. Okay, so if it's this far above normal, you can expect that it would be even warmer next Sunday than it is this Sunday. Make sense? All right, so it's always relative to the day you're talking about, not, it's not relative to today. And then we are going to look at the next time frame here. We're going to get into is May 12th. Okay. Now, before we do that, here's what that cold air we were showing you coming up here. This is actually, at this point, a cold front. This is actually diving to the south here. So this is going to bring some cold air with it. It's going to moderate as it comes south here. So this is a look at May 10th. Still very warm here ahead of that front. And then we get into May 12th here, and it's going through. Cold front's now down here. Okay. You're below normal here, but on this chart here, you're just barely below normal. Like we were saying in that long range, when we went through the long range chart here and showed you this period here, the 11th to the 18th. Again, starting off near the 11th, 12th time frame is going to start off in this time frame right here. It's going to start off below normal, and then we're going to moderate to above normal. So the entire period ends up near to slightly above average as we come out of it. So going back to that again, and going to long range, just showing you that you do have a cold settling in here, but this is not cold. This is just 60s. Okay, so normal highs at this point, May 12th, are in the low to mid 70s. So this right here is, even though it's showing over the Great Lakes -8, here over in our area, which is this gray area right here, we're only talking about 2 to 5, maybe 3, 4, 5 degrees below normal. So you're still in the 60s. That's the point. Okay, and here we have a cold front that's going to come through on Tuesday. I wanted to touch about precipitation here and a hit on that, because a lot of people are concerned that we haven't had much rain, and we are dipping now to below normal year-to-date readings across much of the area here. This cold front's going to come through here on Tuesday. Not a lot of precipitation with it. It is a front that's dropping down from New York State here, but you can see just some showers and thunderstorms. This is going to be Tuesday afternoon. I think Tuesday starts off partly cloudy, and then you get these scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, but not a lot of precipitation with this, not really. Okay, and then this front is actually going to move down to the south here a little bit, kind of stall somewhere over our area right in this vicinity, and then it's going to head back north as a warm front again. So we get right back into the warmth as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we never lose this heating here. We're going to be right back to the 80s again as we head into the end of the week here. Okay, and I want to get a total precipitation. This is a projection of total precipitation accumulated over the next 10 days. Now, this really isn't a lot. Now, if you live up in our northwest sections, you might get into some beneficial rains. This is all between an inch or two up here projected. But south and east of that line here, you're all under an inch. In some cases, under a ½ inch. So, not a lot of precipitation expected in the next 10 days in these areas here. These are just going to be from showers and thunderstorms that move through. We'll have a couple opportunities for those showers and thunderstorms, it looks like, as we get into the end of next weekend, which is probably Sunday, Monday time frame, and ahead of that Arctic air that I showed you on the previous graphic, around the 10th or 11th. We have some more rain coming with some storms coming through then. It's going to break the heat. Same thing on Tuesday, but I showed you on that image. There's not really too much to deal with until you get up here. A little more to work with up here in terms of precipitation. So you get a little bit more inch or two up here. So this will be good for these areas up here. Areas south and east here, I don't really think a ½ inch is helping you. I really don't. If you get lucky and you get caught under one of these thunderstorms that just dump some torrential rain, even then that's not really that good. You need a good soaking rain. I really don't see it here in the next 10 days. No soaking rains. When you have a torrential rains from a thunderstorm, although it is raining hard, you can get some pretty good rain amounts in that time frame. A lot of it's runoff. So it goes right into the sewage system or into the rivers, lakes, whatever. And just runs off, and the ground really can't absorb it the way you want it to. So just be careful. I mean, if we have some dry days coming up here in the next couple of weeks here with some windy conditions, you might have some red flag warnings go up again for drought conditions. So just be careful of that. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is the subtropical system that has been advertised Some of you watched like the Weather Channel and things like that. They have been talking about this system. I really don't think this is much of a big deal. The Canadian model is making it a little bit more of a big deal than it needs to be, but the European model and the GFS are saying no, not really. It's just a subtropical system. It's not a tropical storm or hurricanes. There's the differences. It's a cold, there's an upper level low that's going to be feeding into this. Is going to keep it a cold core system, which is obviously you need a warm core system to have a tropical storm or hurricane. So this isn't a really, now you can have named subtropical storms. These really have a limit to how big they can get. The European model and the GFS keep this relatively weak, just keep it a wave of low pressure. But the Canadian wants to wrap this thing up a little bit and make it a subtropical storm. We'll keep an eye on it just in case, but I think if you're using the Canadian model for tropics is not a really good idea. Your best bet is going to be, in terms of tropical guidance, in terms of long-range guidance, you want to use the European model first, GFS second. And as a matter of fact, the GFS actually takes this thing up kind of like in the same strength that the European model does, and does one of these numbers and brings it in a weak wave into this area here near Savannah, Jacksonville, that area. And it just falls apart. So either way, we really don't think it's going to be ramped up like this. We'll keep an eye on it just in case. Of course, we're going to talk about all these things and the warmth and anything expected as far as thunderstorms, nowcasting thunderstorms, and giving all the threats going forward for the next couple of weeks. We do that in the EPAWA forum. You can join there by joining on the forum by clicking on the link below this video here, and you have to select the text alerts. It'll go to the My Pocket Meteorologist page, select the weather alerts, and then you can add, by getting the weather alerts either to your phone or to your email, you can add on the forum as one of the options here. This is a really great place to have where we hang out until you can rub elbows with the meteorologist of Eastern PA Weather Authority, and outside of Eastern PA Weather Authority. You have some National Weather Service meteorologists in there as well, but it's where you can interact with each other and interact with other red tagger meteorologists that will give you the latest information that we're not going to be able to share publicly. So a lot of detail goes into this. A lot of time gets spent on that, so do take a look at this if you want to join our premium forum and join in on the discussion. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Marchich, and that is this edition of Weather Weeklies for May 3rd, 2015. Have a great Sunday.